What is up, AFC North football fans, and welcome into another edition of the AFC North Roundtable, powered by BetUS. The season has come to a close, but it's never too early to get your bold predictions in for next season, and that's what we will be doing tonight. All four of the fellas will be giving their bold prediction for each one of their teams heading into the 2025 offseason. So without further ado, let's bring them in. Mark, Zim, Zay, and Sam. Fellas, great to see you. Before we dive into this upcoming season's offseason, let's dive into who could potentially win it all after this offseason going into the regular season of 2025. Right now on BetUS, the odds are up for Super Bowl 60. The Chiefs and the Eagles favored to win it. Shocking nobody. The Ravens right in the mix, however, tied with the best overall odds to win it. The Bills have the second best odds. The Lions have the third best odds, and all of the odds for each team in the NFL are up right now on BetUS. Get in on it using the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus, up to $2,000 on your first deposit, and 125% bonus on your next two after that. All right, fellas, 2024 is in the books. We immediately turn the page to 2025. The NFL is a year-round sport now, and we are no different here on the AFC North Roundtable. I need a bold prediction from each one of you heading into the offseason for your respective team. Sam, I'm going to start with you. The Ravens, winners of this division this past season, hell of a year. Lamar Jackson, an MVP candidate once again. Derrick Henry on the doorstep at 2,000 yards. They're as good as anybody heading into 2025. With that in mind, a bold prediction for Baltimore as we enter into the offseason.
I think the Ravens are going to turn the page on Ronnie Stanley. I think the left tackle for the Ravens, he's right now the number one free agent offensive tackle according to Pro Football Focus. A lot of people think the Ravens are going to bring him back. I just don't see it. I think we saw enough from Roger Rosengarten on the right side. I know there were a lot of his plays, he was getting help, especially against TJ Watt. He got help from tight ends and running backs, but I think they still turn that corner, either leave him at Rosengarten at the right side or move him over to the left side and draft a guy. Either way, I think Ronnie Stanley has played himself out of the conversation. So someone's going to get the number one left tackle in all of football and free agency at least. That's my prediction. I think he goes away.
And you're looking to replace him in the draft, another move. How does that look?
I think that it has to be via draft. I think the Ravens have to look at the draft as a chance to find somebody either in the first or second round. If they get somebody in the first round, maybe they keep him at left tackle. But my prediction is that they move Rosengarten to the left side and then find the right tackle either in the second day or third day to fill up that right tackle spot.
Zim, I'll bump it up to you here. Your Cincinnati Bengals, a down year by their standards. Offensively, though, it was not. They were as good as it gets in the NFL. Defensively, however, was the big letdown for the Bengals. Heading into 2025 here, we know T. Higgins and his situation is kind of on the ropes. Joe Burrow's been very vocal about the situation. So an interesting offseason for your Cincinnati Bengals here. What's a bold prediction for you as we enter into the offseason?
I'm going to give you a lot. Zay just talked about Aditi Kikambala. I actually interviewed her last week on my show. She had a lot of good insight on T. Higgins. That was a really good interview. But she gave me a little bit more confidence. Going off of Sam's pick, though, check this out. I think Ronnie Stanley goes to the Chiefs. They need a left tackle really bad. But I do think that the Bengals and Joe Burrow do sign Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins in this offseason, along with Jamar Chase, making them the highest paid wide receiver. The cuts that are about to come that will give them over $100 million in cap space will be Alex Kappa, Zach Moss, Sheldon Rankins, and I'm missing one more person. Jermaine Pratt just put in a trade request today, so that's another $6 million that I didn't even account for. Those guys and Sam Hubbard. The guys that I just named didn't even play this past season in their dead weight, and they're like $30 million in dead weight that we had to cut. I think the Bengals get that together. They fix the defense and become like a top 15 defense. And then we go to the AFC Championship in a matchup for the ages against the Baltimore Ravens, in which I think is going to be the biggest season in the Baltimore Ravens, future coming up, with Lamar Jackson with that $75 million cap hit coming around the corner in 2026 that I've been waiting for, so they can't sign anybody. I think this is the biggest season in Baltimore. And I also think the Ravens get Deebo Samuel too.
Well, Well, perhaps the boldest prediction hidden within that, Zim, would be the idea that Patrick Mahomes would not make the AFC Championship for the first time in his career, something I think we all can get on board with here on the AFC North Roundtable. Let's swing it over to Mark here. Mark, your Steelers in the playoffs yet again, but it was an early exit, just weren't on par with the Baltimore Ravens, and now heading into the offseason, the biggest question is, who the hell is going to be playing quarterback for Pittsburgh? So with that in mind, a bold prediction for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into the offseason here.
So a lot of the NFL media, of course, wants Aaron Rodgers to be our quarterback, which be very, very bold, and it's I'm not even saying could happen. I don't want it to happen. I don't think it will. My bold prediction, though, this could be a possibility. And before Steelers fans rip my head off and say that's crazy, they might move on from George Pickens. They might trade him away because there's been no real, I guess, talk around him getting a contract extension. They could possibly do it. Like, I'm not saying they should do it, but it could be a thing. And if you want to bold, that's bold for me. Moving on from on your best receiver, out of all the receivers there, no real depth behind that. Roman Wilson, rookie, but didn't play last year, got injured. So if they were to move on from George Pickens, get some picks back, go to another team where you can play number one receiver, number two, or something like that, the Steelers would do something like that and then get picks back and then maybe start again at that position. I don't know. Because I don't know about his contract, what they're going to do. Now, there's been times on and off the field where he's been a bit of a headache. But at the same time, you throw that guy a 60-40 ball and he catches it. So that could just be a possibility. I don't want it to happen. I'm happy if they give him a contract extension. But I wouldn't be too surprised if they were to put him on the trade block and someone else gets some picks.
Do you have a bold prediction on who will be throwing that football in 2025 for Pittsburgh?
There's this. I just saw some Instagram news coming out when we're recording, and Justin Fields just had a photo of himself on the storyline in a Steelers jersey. I hope it's Justin Fields. Run it back with him, see how the season goes. But I'm not too surprised either if it's going to be Russell Wilson. It's one of those two blokes. So I think it's going to be Justin Fields.
So you are a firm believer that the quarterback solution for Pittsburgh this upcoming season, at least, is already in-house.
May not be a solution, but it might happen. I'm not saying it's the best thing that's going to happen. I'm just saying, out of anything, I think you go with Fields because he's younger. When things break down with the offensive line, and we saw it last year before he did get benched, but I said to you fellas, they were always going Russell Wilson because that was Tomlin's guy. Now it looks like that it's not going to happen with Wilson, and then you've got a younger quarterback. You give him a 2 or 3 year contract, whatever it may be. He may not be the solution, but he's something that gives us our team a bit of promise, like a bit of something. Something breaks down, you're running for 20 yards.
What pick do y'all have?
21. We're always 20.
Justin Fields and draft a quarterback.
There has been talk about that as well, but I don't think they'll do it again. I think Kenny Pickett burnt them. I don't think they'll go for that. We've been rumored to get Jackson Dart or someone like that.
I like Jackson.
He sucks.
I think they'll go receiver. I think it could be a possibility they'll go receiver or they'll go defensive line. They need to build up the trenches.
We will see what happens with Pittsburgh. Always hanging around. The question is, how can they get over the hump of just being in the picture as opposed to being at the top of that picture? All right, Zay, let's get down to you here. It's already been an interesting offseason for Cleveland. Myles Garrett really set the tone early on, announcing he wanted out of Cleveland. You have the Deshaun Watson situation, of course. Just a lot unfolding in Cleveland as we speak. So with that in mind, your bold prediction for your Browns as we head into the 2025 offseason.
I've got part of me wants to do something that I don't want to do, and the other part of me wants to be the optimistic Zay that I love being. I kind of want to tie it into both. See, if I say this, though, that means it's going to be another brutal start to the year. Kevin Stefanski gets fired week 6, week 7, right? Let's just say this. Shedeur Sanders is going to throw for 4,000 yards, right? We're going to draft Shedeur. But it's not going to happen until this is going to lead up for prime time to come in and be the highest paid coach in the NFL. Something feels like, because Jimmy Haslam is a big money guy. He cares about the business, and nothing says dollars like the primetime family. And I just feel like Shedeur, I've grown to really want Shedeur, and I think Shedeur can give us something that we desperately, desperately need, and that's leadership and a culture shock. I just think he's got that contagious energy. Like Jarvis Landry said, we love it when it's contagious. That type of stuff is contagious in the league. And this would be the perfect out. If you could find a way to bring in, like, if they bring in Daniel Jones, Lord Almighty, please, man, like, no, just don't do it to me. But like, it feels like this is desperation mode for Kevin Stefanski. For the first time in his tenure here, it actually feels like he has a little bit of control. It actually feels like his opinion is higher up than it normally has been. It seems as if he has his hands on a lot more in this. Will it be enough? I hope I'm wrong. I hope he doesn't get fired week 6, week 7, because that means we're winning football games. But we going to draft Shedeur. Shedeur going to cut it up. And it's just going to be ready to usher in the new era that is Cleveland. And I think Kevin Stefanski will be halfway out the door.
If your bold prediction comes to fruition, what is the current situation with Deshaun Watson look like in the 2025 season?
Who?
Garrett look like.
Who? Like, the Deshaun Watson is so far. He won't get cut. He won't get cut. I think he'll just be rotting away on the bench. I'm actually kind of curious to know how they play it out, because before all of this stuff came out, it was, oh, we're gonna make this a quarterback competition and all this stuff. But you've had Denzel Ward, you've had David Njoku, obviously Myles Garrett. These are the leaders of the team telling you that we need a quarterback. Now, I don't think anybody in this locker room has any faith in 4 anymore. And I think this whole Deshaun Watson fiasco is more so about he's here because we owe him $172 million, and unless we can find a way to get out of it, which is why I think Jimmy has it in the back of his head. How can we capitalize and get the most money? How can we make money? Because we got to pay this $2 billion, $3 billion for this new stadium. We got to figure out a way to recoup some of the money from Deshaun Watson. If we do get rid of Myles Garrett, there's going to be a $30 million cap hit there. If Myles goes, you already heard Denzel Ward walk back his comments saying that he would want to get out. He's like a $40 million cap hit. So money is big in our organization right now. And I'm telling you, they got to find a way to make up the dollars. Jimmy Haslam is a businessman when it's all said and done. They'll find a way.
There you have it, folks. We are only a couple days into the offseason, and we got some bold predictions all the way around the table. This is set up to be a very interesting offseason.
Oh, and one more bold thing. We
sweep
the Steelers next year.
Ooh, Mark said, what say you? He's muted. He can't,
Sorry,
he can't even respond.
What?
You heard
Sweepers?
me. Sweet.
You did that.
Sweet.
1985?
Because I was wrong. I think I was 1 year removed. I think I was 1 year wrong with my prediction and having y'all going under 500. It's going to be the first year where the tumble starts. Like, it's so funny seeing your guy, Kevin Adams, pay for that billboard, because that's something that's just, I never expected to see the level of pettiness come from a superior Steeler fan organization. You guys are stooping down to Cleveland Browns fandom level, and I absolutely love it. This is the beginning of some very, very dark days for the Steelers, and it's going to start when the Browns sweep that ass.
Nah, he's a true yinzer. He'll complain about giving him a free $10 and a free coffee and a handshake. He complain about that. So he's a good bloke, but he's complaining. They all complaining. They're just yinzers, man.
And not everybody is as stand up as you, Mark. I'm just saying. I'm telling you what I'm seeing from the Steelers fan base. They don't know how much longer they can hold on to it. We got the 6th Super Bowl. These kids that's been saying they didn't even see the first 2 Super Bowls in recent years.
I saw them. They were fucking fantastic. I'll watch them again. Go see on the sideline.
Folks, we're not even 2 weeks into February, and we already have the trash talk flying for 2025. That's why you're going to want to tune in with us every step of the way this offseason on the AFC North Roundtable, and we will be there with you every step of the way. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. On your way out the door, like button if you could, subscribe button if you could, and head on over to BetUS and use the promo code YouTube150. For Sam, Zim, Mark, and Zay, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the AFC North Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.